Hi, and welcome to SEALBOSS.com. Featured here today in front of us is the new SEALBOSS JointMaster Pro 2 Generation 3i Polyurea Joint Fill Pump. Lots to talk about, folks, in this segment, so we're really excited about the upgrades that we've made here in 2015. If you are the proud owner of a Generation 2, not to worry. We certainly do, however, encourage you to take a look at this machine online. Very feature-rich, and we're going to get into some of those features here in a moment. We've really done a good job in listening to the community over the past few years in finding out what exactly would make the ultimate in joint fill pumps. We've kept our ears and eyes open, folks, and we surely hope that in front of you we've answered the call. So we'll start very simply from the motor, and we'll kind of work our way from the bottom to the top. We have utilized a German-engineered motor to run this machine. Okay, very high quality, and we'll get into a little bit of the interplay with the variable frequency drive here in a little bit, but very good motor, a very steady motor that again is controlled by the VFD. Moving right along, we have our new rotary gear pumps on the A and the B sides. One thing to note in terms of an upgrade with the rotary gear pumps is the pressure back rating capabilities of these. These can withstand a back pressure of approximately 2,000 psi. Now, it's to be noted that you don't want to really exercise and try to push that too much, but in the event you do wind up with a condition where maybe you have a static mixer with cured material in it, and for some accidental reason the operator has left the machine in the running mode, you can wait a little longer than in previous times, because now, like I said, the ratings on these pressure seals is about 2,000 psi. Okay? Moving up a little more, we have our bleed-off valves, okay, for our tanks, our A and our B side tanks. These bleed-off valves will allow you to, at the end of any given shift, take A side and B side material and either dispose of that material or go ahead and put it into pails. Now, a specific note about that, if you're going to utilize the A and the B respectively within, let's say, a day, it's okay to go ahead and bleed off into the original buckets, okay? Your A and your B side, SEALBOSS 6500 or 6880 semi-rigid two-part joint fill, provided you know you're going to use it within a day. We just don't want to go ahead and take any material that could be potentially exposed to ambient moisture in the air and put it back into the original packaging, all right? So I just wanted to touch on that. So you'd bleed off and then you'd shut these off, and we'll get into cleaning here a little later on and we'll revisit these, but we do have this option, and this is a standard option on all machines, okay? Moving up to the stainless steel tanks that we offer, these are available in both 5 and 6 gallon options. So if you have jobs where you're going to require a little bit more material, you got a big job, you don't want to have to fill as much, not a problem. Just let your SEALBOSS representative know that you need a JointMaster G3i with the 6 gallon tank option. Okay, so again, made out of stainless steel. Polished version shown here, of course. Some other features to note as we move around. We'll take a look at the other side of the pump. Down here, I will again start from the bottom and work our way up to the top. Down here we have our industrial grade lockable casters, okay? This will allow for safe movement of the machine both on the job site and even more so as you're transporting the machine from job to job as you have it in a truck. You can go ahead and lock down on these casters, preventing the machine from sliding all around the place, okay? Another thing to note is some of the redesign and the construction of the actual framework of this machine. We've gone ahead and bullnosed and beveled the edges a little bit. Why is that important? Well, other models out there on the market may have sharp edges where if a gentleman or if a woman is going ahead and filling joints on a job site and they're maybe in a rush, sometimes you might actually knock your shins or your legs on these pieces here. With a beveled edge, you greatly reduce the risk of any type of laceration or cut that could lead to a safety issue on your job site. So we keep the operator in mind at all times as we've developed this new machine. So now we'll go ahead and get into the inverter setup. The inverter setup is a very key feature if you have a large job where you do not want to necessarily be tethered to 110 power, plugged into any type of a power source. What you can do, and we do not offer the deep cycle battery, but you could procure a 12 volt deep cycle marine battery, for example. You would actually take that battery, you would hook up your inverter to that battery's leads, and you would take the machine itself and plug it into the inverter setup. Okay, so that gives you the option again to kind of be free, almost wireless. Okay. Moving right along, we have a fully enclosed sprocket and chain assembly, and that's done for your safety. Okay, the last thing we want is to have any damage done to any part of anyone's body by getting it caught in any type of top sprockets or chains. That wouldn't be a good thing. So we fully enclose this with very convenient Allen bolts that you can remove. If you ever had to get into the machine, you'd obviously want to have it in the powered off mode. And once we're in here, we've now revealed another upgraded feature, and that is the doing away with the tensioning sprocket altogether. Okay, so one less moving part, one less moving piece. You have a much more fluid and tight drive assembly with this machine right now. Another added feature is there's flat out more tooth to chain contact in the G3i, okay? Allowing for, like I said, a much more fluid and tight motion as that motor starts to drive the rotary gear pumps. So that tendency for that chain to want to loosen, we've minimized that altogether, okay? Now, if on a job site you have the need for a 2-to-1 ratio material for an A side to B side 2-to-1, not to worry. You're just going to want to go ahead and contact your SEALBOSS representative and let them know that need is there. And what we can do is we can take a 13-tooth sprocket and put it on the A side for you. What that'll do is it'll allow the A side to drive at twice the speed of the B side, thus giving you that 2-to-1 ratio A to B material, so you can have that feature added if needed. Just let us know about that and we get you set up, okay? Moving up a little bit, we have our convenient utility basket. Same feature is on the G2, so we've kept that. The feedback from the field is it's very handy. In the case where you do have an inverter setup, what you would have in here is the battery charger. You still have ample room for things like tools, water bottle, static mixers as you get on your way, any type of replacement blades for shaving your overfill that you might want to keep in there. Very convenient, very utilitarian aspect of the machine. We're very proud to boast of it yet again here in this new generation of JointMaster. Okay? And last but not least, probably the most important and probably one of the nicest features of this pump here is going to be the variable frequency drive, okay? So what we've done is we've upgraded the operation of the machine in its entirety, okay? We are now digitally controlled. What this enables folks to do is use a wide variety of material that is available on the market. Because let's face it, on jobs, there are going to be call-outs for polyurea. There might be call-outs for semi-rigid two-part. And within each of those product families, you're going to have a varied amount of manufacturers who are specified in, recommended, etc. This machine allows you that versatility. That cannot be said for other models that are out there on the market. Some of the viscosities of some of the materials out there are not too friendly with other machines. This Generation 3i can handle a wide variety of polyureas as well as semi-rigid two-part epoxies. Now, getting it all set up, very easy to do, and there's a couple things I'm going to talk about in terms of the safety features and some of the codes that you'll see here on the digital readout. When it's ready, and when you're ready to go ahead and start filling joint, you'll go ahead and you'll get fired up. So you'll plug in either to a wall, or if you have the inverter setup option, you'll energize the machine by plugging in to either the inverter or 110 power. For our international markets, we do have this available in 220, just as FYI, okay? When you do that, you'll go ahead and plug in and you'll hit the run button. When you hit the run button, you'll see a readout with the letter F. When that letter F reads 0.00, you're now ready to operate the machine and start driving the motor speed by using the potentiometer knob that's actually found on the applicator. And we cover that in the applicator segment that's also available on SEALBOSS.com for your information. As you start to take the applicator control knob and dial it up, you'll see that number increase. The essence of it is that you're increasing the speed of the motor, and that motor will in turn drive the rotary gear pumps to dispense the material at either a faster or slower pace, depending upon what your needs are to fill the joints that you have in front of you, okay? Now, a couple things you might see as a built-in mechanism here for safety, as well as to inform the operator of any malfunction. There are two different codes that you hopefully don't see but can see, and that is the overload code as well as the under voltage code. With the overload code, what it means is the viscosities of your A and B might be a little too high, and is causing that motor to work a little too hard to go ahead and drive those rotary gear pumps to dispense that material. In that event, what's nice about it is it'll tell you that that's what's happening. You can shut down and you can reassess what you're doing in terms of the operations of your joint fill project, and you can prevent potentially from having that motor fry out on you or overheating the motor. The other thing I was discussing was the under voltage. If for some reason there's a brownout or a blackout, or you just simply don't have enough power at your power source, you will see an under voltage code appear on this digital readout. These numbers and letters will be in the color red, so you'll know that when you're powered up, you'll have that readout on that box, okay? Now, some things here that you can't really see because it's written really small, but when you get up close to the VFD, you can see it. You'll see run, forward, and reverse, okay? There will be very seldom, if ever, the need to run this machine in reverse. We do not recommend it. You're going to want to be in the forward mode always. And another thing to note is the potentiometer on the box itself. We've intentionally programmed that to be rendered for all intents and purposes useless. So this really does nothing for you. All your potentiometer control will be at the applicator. And like I said, you can check that out on our applicator segment, okay? All right, now we're going to take a look at the insides of the tanks of the JointMaster. So to do that, we'll go ahead and take our wing nut, washer, and crossbar assembly off. That'll allow us access to our tank lids. Now, one thing I do want to point out is the air vent valve that you'll find on both the A and the B side tank lids, okay? Right now, this is in the open position. So to close that, we'll go ahead and have that all the way in the up position. When we have it like that, that's when you're going to want to go ahead and transport the machine. So if you're doing any travel with the machine, if you're storing the machine, it's just good safe practice to have these in the closed position to prevent any air from getting down into the tanks. But during operation, normally, we'll go ahead and have that open, and that again is when this is all the way down, all right? Now I have gloves on, and I do recommend anytime you're getting inside these tanks, just to be safe, that you do wear gloves because you are dealing with chemicals. Whether you had a cleaning or a joint fill operation recently, you may have some residual solvents or flush or even material, hopefully not, down inside the inside of the tank. So I'm going to reach down and we are going to get our screen filter, okay? This is a feature that we have in the bottoms of both tanks that will prevent any type of large debris or any type of foreign matter from getting down into the bottom of the tank and ultimately into the rotary gear pump. So this is a very nice handy feature that has some female threads that screws very nicely onto the male nipple that's at the bottom of each of the tanks. Now, probably one of the most important elements of utilizing a joint fill machine or any machine that dispenses our chemicals for that matter is the cleaning. All right, now I'm going to hopefully debunk some myths and just give a very straightforward explanation of the cleaning process to make your life easier at the end of any given shift. We recommend cleaning be done in 2 phases, okay? That first phase is going to be with a solvent. We recommend the use of xylene, spelled Xylene. You'll see other solvents out there for sure. I'm sure very familiar with things like acetone, MEK, toluene, etc. Even mineral spirits, some guys want to go ahead and clean with that. We recommend xylene, okay, in the first phase of the cleaning. What you're going to do is start high up on the inside of the tank when you're done with any given shift, and the idea is to go ahead and utilize the xylene to rinse from the top down any material that's stuck on the inner wall of the tank itself, all right? When we do that on the A and the B side, we're obviously going to collect our xylene and residual material mixture. And again, just to be safe, we want to make sure our bleed-off valves at the bottom of the tanks are closed so we don't wind up spilling all over the place on the floor. So when we do that, we're going to collect that xylene on the A and the B side, and then we're going to run the machine as we would normally for a joint fill operation. So what we'll do is we'll fire up. Now what we'll have on the applicator is our static mixer removed, and we will now just have the manifold with the 2 orifices on each side ready to allow the flow of the A and the B side out. So you're going to want to go ahead and get a bucket for dispensing the waste material, and you're going to run your pump, like I said, like you normally would to dispense the joint fill, and you're going to allow that xylene to bleed down through the bottom, out through the lines. And a good fail-safe way to know that you're purged is when the xylene coming out of the end of that manifold starts looking clean and clear like fresh xylene that you're putting in up top. you've met the condition of having all residual A side and B side out of both the rotary gear pumps, the mechanisms, and the lines themselves. At that point in time, we're now ready for our pump flush. So the R70, for example, by SEALBOSS is a great way to keep your machinery as well as your lines lubricated and conditioned for either winter storage or any type of storage for that matter, or just if you're getting ready to do a shift maybe the next day, still good practice to keep the prolonged longevity of that machine going. So we take some R70, about a quart on each side, roughly 32 ounces or so. We don't really have to get crazy with the math. We just want to have enough in there to run through the system to chase and purge any remaining xylene that we've introduced in our first phase of cleaning out of the machine in its entirety, leaving behind a nice lubricant and a conditioner that'll go ahead and keep that machine ready for use the next time, the next go around. All right, so once we do that, we'll again run the machine in the same fashion until we go ahead and bleed down our R70 all the way down to the bottom of the tank till we can't see it anymore. And when your R70 starts sputtering out of the orifices on the manifold, you know you're ready to go ahead and take your nightcap and retaining nut, put it back on the manifold, and you can, like I said, either store it at this point in time or just be ready for the next job. Thank you very much for your time.